I found out I was pregnant in the beginning of March 2016 at Dylan's in the restroom. Black inkiness of fear, confusion, and shock swirled around me. My idea of the future was gone. Everything I had worked for was gone, replaced by this pit of unknown. While my sister and her friend hugged me and comforted me with phrases such as, "It'll be all right," and "Shh, breathe," I hardly felt them, barely heard them. A little white-haired old woman walked in and saw me crying while holding a pregnancy test in my hand. She walked up to me and patted me on the arm and said, "God always has a plan." That statement sucked all the black inkiness away. It brought me calmness and strength. I was able to compose myself enough to send the father of my child a text, and I had a small amount of confidence when I walked out of the restroom, for God had meant this to happen. Now, I'm not a person who sends important or sensitive topics by text, so I sent him, "Houston, we have a problem," followed by a request to meet. When I told him I was pregnant, I was met with denial, followed by him saying, "Everything will be all right. I'll pay for an abortion." I was in shock. This was not the response I was expecting. I told him, no, that's not happening. There were health risks involved and consequences to that lasted long term. He retorted that this was the best and only option. He said I was not mother material and was not ready to be a mother, and that I would not be able to financially support a baby. He also insisted that the baby did not have a heartbeat and therefore was not alive. He concluded by saying that I was not thinking clearly. Otherwise, I would agree that the best option would be to abort the baby. I wouldn't be swayed, so he walked out, for at this point, he wanted no involvement. After the father walked out, the black inkiness rolled around me once more, snuffing out all the flames of hope and darkening any colorful plans I had for the future. I went home and over the next few days spoke to friends and family and compiled a list of what community resources were available. Papa Charlie, Pregnancy Care Center, popped in my mind like a small prayer candle flame, burning small but sure. I grabbed hold of it, and in a few moments of calm it granted me, I dialed Insight Women's Center. When the ringing stopped and I heard, "Pregnancy Care Center, this is Claudia," I broke. I couldn't breathe. I was crying uncontrollably and couldn't say anything. Claudia spoke to me, asking me to take deep breaths, letting me take time to collect my thoughts. Once I stopped repeating over and over that I can't do this, I was able to inform her of my situation. She reassured me and was able to have me see that there was hope for a colorful future. While most of this first phone call was hard to remember, a piece that always stuck with me was Claudia time and time again reassuring me that God still loved me. This enkindled a small prayer flame inside me, and I was able to set up an appointment with their nurse for a sonogram and later set up appointments for their classes. Every week, I would go to Insight Women's Center and learn information on my growing baby, what to be expected, and on motherhood in general. I took the Earn While You Learn so I could get a crib and mattress as well as other baby supplies. I also attended Promise of God and read and discuss Bible verses each week, strengthening my faith and enkindling my inner flame until I saw that I could be a good mother and had a colorful future ahead. 2 weeks before my due date, the father of my child showed up at my doorstep at 2 a.m, not in a sober mind. He demanded to see his child, and when I said that the baby was not born yet, he requested to be involved in the child's life. I told him he should go home and sober up, and if serious, contact me later that day. I reached out to him in the afternoon, at which point his family learned that I was pregnant and wished to be involved in a child's life. On October 26, 2016, I gave birth to a healthy 8-pound, 4-ounce, 20 1/4 inch baby boy whom I named Briar. Shortly after Briar's birth, in an attempt to become a better father for Briar, his father went into a drug rehab center. The Sunday after Thanksgiving, he was able to meet and hold his son for the first time. God has a plan for everything. The next day, neither I nor the father's mother could get a hold of him. His mother went home for lunch and found him non-responsive on the floor. He was put in the ICU at Lawrence Memorial Hospital. My fire of hope dwindled down to that single prayer candle. The black inkiness of fear, hopelessness, and despair returned. I reached out to Bridget and Claudia of Insight Women's Center, asking for their prayers, and continually gave them updates. Over the next 3 weeks, I was up at Lawrence Memorial Hospital ICU waiting area with the rest of Briar's father's family, sharing the rays of hope and happiness that Briar had brought me. Briar's father died on December 13th, 2016. It was around this time that Bridget and Claudia reached out to me about Jayhawk Tennis Center wanting to sponsor mothers with presents for Christmas. This was a prayer answered, for because only being 6 weeks postpartum and with the father's health, I was unsure how I was going to make Christmas happen. This fed into the black inkiness. Doubt crept in my mind, suggesting that I was an unfit and bad mother for being unable to get my child presents for Christmas. While it was difficult to form a list of what Briar needed, and even harder for what I needed or wanted, a list was eventually made. Thank you, Jayhawk Tennis Center, for helping struggling mothers and making it possible for presents to be under the tree Christmas morning. As Briar got older and my village of support grew, I slowly stopped using Insight Women's Center as a resource. However, I wish to give back to the organization that had helped me so greatly and played a role into the mother I am today. I donate to Insight Women's Center clothing, diapers, toys, anything I can think of that might help other mothers that are in a rough period in life. May it help them find hope and a bright, good future. I wish to thank Insight Women's Center for allowing me to share my story of experience and time with you tonight.